Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Near Protocol. This is going to be a lower time frame video. We do have a higher time frame video up above, so check that out if you want more context on the moves we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so before we get into the micro analysis of this move to the upside here, I just want to go over a couple of the ideas which have been validated here and what I'm actually looking out for here for more confirmation of which of these counts on the macro that is playing out. Now, we were talking about the possibility that this could be a fourth wave, and we're looking for this fifth wave down. Now, the problem with this is what we typically look for as a third wave would actually be down here at this 106. Now, we fell short of this. It doesn't mean that this is invalid. It would be a very strange count here. You'd have to argue you had something like this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here if this is the case. And it would be a very strange structure, but it is technically still possible for as long as we actually remain below this 166 level. If we move back above that, that will invalidate this potential. But if we just see this move come up into this, we break down in 5 waves, potentially what we could see as a target area of this 150 to this 91 cents, which would bring us back into the bottom end of this green target box that we have here. As well as that, we have this little yellow target box here between this 90 cent and this 86 cent, which I would be keeping an eye on if we do actually look to push down into these regions. Now, we also need to be cautious because this could actually rather mean that we're going to extend out here. There is a potential way of counting this as a diagonal in here. We would be arguing that this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 into this point here. Now, the problem that I have with this is that typically speaking, what we do when we form a diagonal, it'll be between a wedge shape like this, and we can argue that we have this, but then this fifth wave would have actually progressed much deeper than the bottom of this wedge pattern, which can happen sometimes. So we need to just be aware that it is possible. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and actually our fifth wave is already completed here. Because we did come down into this box of this 121 to this 93 cent already, so possibly we could argue that it's completed. Now, if this is completed, this could mean we start to move up in a bigger way here. So we need to be aware of that potential, but really, I'm just not convinced yet. What I want to see here is breaking above these invalidation points, and ideally a break back above this wave 2 location here at this $2.41. Until we actually do that, we could still see something like this play out, where we're actually looking to extend out, where we could have this as a 1, 2. This is another 1, 2 here. And for as long as we actually remain below this 165, could be setting up another 1, 2. Now, it is unlikely because we've already come up so high here, but we haven't actually invalidated it technically. So just being mindful that if we do actually see price start to break down in a bigger way here, where we see a 5-wave move to the downside, actually looking to target out this 89 cents region, this could be bad for NEAR. This could then mean that we have this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'd actually get successive fourth and fifth waves to the downside here, and this would all be within a third wave if that's the case. So this would be very bad because this would mean we actually have some extension from the top here. This would all become a third, fourth, and a fifth, and we'd actually look to break down much deeper. So we really want to avoid this. This is why I say, you know, for more confirmation, I want to get it back above this 165.9 area. But until we do, we need to just be cautious of that potential of a much bigger break to the downside here. The other way we could argue that this is taking place, and we could say that, you know, we're still within a fifth wave, is that potentially we have this as 1, 2, 3 into this point. Now, this would be looking at this as an expanding diagonal. Now, these are not as common, so this is already less likely. But they can occur. So because of this fact, what I'm looking out for here, if we get something like this where we actually form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside here, we get 3 waves down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we actually look to push up past this 165, possibly even back up into this top diagonal line here, you know, potentially we could start to see another 3-wave move to the downside. So marked off of where this top diagonal is, what we would be looking for as a fifth wave is we'd have to actually cross this 90 cents region, because it has to be longer than this wave 3 if it is going to be an expanding diagonal. So that's one of the rules of expanding diagonals, is that your wave 1 is shorter than wave 3, which is shorter than wave 5. So that's just something that would have to apply here. Alternatively, what we could also argue is that this could just be a bigger corrective move, where we were just looking for this as a B wave, where this is an A, this is a B, and then we're looking for this as a C wave to the upside. And what we'd be looking for then would be the potential that we could actually start to see a bigger 5-wave move coming up here. So if this is going to be a running flat, so that is where the C wave does not cross the A wave high, what we could potentially look for would be this 233 level. This would be interesting because of these swing highs that we have on the left hand side here, as well as that if we do look to actually become an expanding diagonal, which is an expanding flat rather, which is more common, we would be looking for this 390 to this 284 level as a possible target. So if we do see something like this 1 2 3 4 5 up into these highs, we need to just be cautious, because like I said, we could count this as 1 2 3 4 5 and it's completed, and then this would become our A wave or wave 1, and then we're looking for that possibility of continuation up, but we'd only get confirmation of that by a 3-wave move to the downside that does not break this low. If price comes back down here and we start to form something like this as a 5-wave move, we break this low, this would actually confirm the idea here of this as a flat correction, and then looking for that potential to actually break down one more time here for that 5th wave still. And what it would be saying is that basically this whole structure here would then be that 4th wave, and then we'd still look for that 5-wave move to the downside afterwards. Now, the way that we were talking about this was looking at this as WX and saying this is A, this is B, this is C. So we were looking for lower targets here, but we've actually come up higher here and we've invalidated that potential where we were looking for this as 1 2 3 4 5, and we're looking for a series of continuation to the downside here, extra waves pushing us to the downside. But we haven't actually crossed this B wave here either, which is sitting at this $1.69. So I'd like to see a break of these levels. Until we do, we could argue that this is just completed ABC. We've come down already here towards the 1382 of the wave W, so this could mean that we already completed. However, if we fail to break this B wave, what we need to be cautious of is if we are still in a B wave, it could be rather something like this, where actually we treat this as A, B, and C into here, and then we have this as our X wave over here, in which case we're looking for another A, B, C to the downside. So this is why it's going to be important here that if we actually fail to take some of these key levels, we could still be looking for another drop down. So within this count, what we'd be looking for would actually be another push to the downside here. This would only be valid for as long as we hold this 165 area. So this is why I say pushing up past these levels will invalidate some of this bearish potential here, at least the direct sell-off ideas, where we'd be looking at this as A, B, and then looking for a C wave to the downside. Now, if this is the case, we could actually look to come down towards this 1-to-1, which would actually be here at this $1.11, but the 1-to-1 of the Y wave is actually lower down here towards this 92-cent region. So still going to be keeping an eye on this. A move back down into these lows would be a 0.618, which would be the minimum requirement we'd be looking for this Y wave. So that would actually align with that idea that if we did see this as A, B, C down here, that could actually mark this Y wave completion over here, looking to actually come back down, sweep these lows before that push to the upside. So gonna have to keep an eye on it. So we're gonna go into the smaller time frame counts now here and looking at these moves to the upside. So there's a couple of ways that we can look at this. What we could argue is that this is a simple move, where we argue that this is 1 2 3 4 5 into here, this is 4th, and then this is a 5th. So if this is the case, we've actually come up past this zone here already of this wave 1 to 3, which is our 0.618, would be our normal typical 5th wave target, and we've actually pushed up through that zone. So what I would want to see is that if this count is playing out in the way that I have this marked out here, what I want to see is actually price come back down in 3 waves. Now I want to see price come back down and look to actually target out this 336 to this 123. As long as we hold this 123.7 here, we could look for potential to push to the upside. So now we're talking about 2 potentials here, that either we're looking for this as a 4th wave in a diagonal, or alternatively we're looking at this as a wave 1 for that impulsive structure to the upside. So if we're looking at this at that bigger bullish potential here, what we're looking for is this to become a wave 1, come down here into this area for B or wave 2, and then a push up towards this $2.22. If we do see something like this, then we could have confirmation of a 3rd wave. We'd look for a 4th and then a fifth wave, which could look to push us up towards this 253 to this 234 region. So this is why it's going to be important now what happens after this point. If we do actually look at the simple count here, we could argue that we see this breakdown here, find support, and then push back to the upside. Invalidation of both the C wave and that third wave comes by crossing this $1.15 level. So if we break down below that, it's more probable that we're going to see that continuation, that more bearish count. Now, the other way we can argue that this is taking place is subdividing this structure slightly different, treating this as 1 2 1 2. This is another 1 2 here, looking for this as a third, and then effectively what we're looking for is a fourth wave to the downside and a fifth wave up. So this third wave, if it is looking to complete in this area, what we'd be looking for as a typical fourth wave area would be between this 154 to this 147 area. I'd want to see a three wave move back down into here, and then potentially what we could see is continuation to the upside here for this fifth wave target, which could look to push us up towards this zone here of this 170 to this 165 area. So this would be looking for that potential of having a move down here and then pushing up. The thing is, if this is going to be a bigger impulsive structure here, we need to be careful of the potential that we have a bigger extension within this third wave, where this becomes 1 2, this also becomes another 1 2, and then we look to push up much higher. So some other targets that we could look to potentially hit if we're looking at this third wave extending would be actually be this 2.618 at this 176, or this 3618 up here at this 194 level. So this is going to be key. Invalidation of the idea of extension here comes by crossing this 135. If we move down below this level, this invalidates the potential of extending out here. So the key thing here is that what I want to see is this develop a third wave, a fourth wave, and a fifth wave. Now this fourth wave should be comparable to this wave 2 that we have here. So I want to see something a bit more substantial here, something along these lines, where we'd be looking for, you know, a bit more of a sideways move here. Or it could be just a quick zigzag to the downside. Looking at this, this could potentially be a flat over here, so a zigzag down would be fine. We cannot cross the $1.46 though, otherwise this would invalidate the idea of the fifth wave. If we did see a move here where we come up here, we get a three wave move down which actually crosses this but fails to break this low, we need to be careful, like I said, of that extension, where this could actually become another 1 2, then we get a 3 4 5, and that would mean that these fourths and fifths from these counts here actually develops later on higher up here. So gonna have to keep an eye on that level, you know, keep an eye on these moves and see whether we start to get more impulsive movements to the upside here. Now if we just had to complete into this white box here, what I'd then be looking for would be the potential that we could actually see this become our wave 3 here, the blue wave 3. If we do have this as the blue wave 3, we'd be looking for a fourth wave down here, 5 wave move to the upside for this yellow wave 3 between this 178 to this 171 level, and then we'd be looking for an additional 3 wave move down. Now this could not cross this 145 level, and we'd want to see another 5 wave structure here looking to target out this 191 to this 181 level. Now if I come out here a little bit, what I would be looking for if we do get an extension like this, so obviously until we actually get confirmation with the waves, we could actually just roll over here. We will go over the bearish or the corrective count in a second. Now if we are looking at this and we do move up to this 191 level to this 181 level, I'd be looking for 3 wave move to the downside. Now this would actually be the same sort of idea. 115 is going to be our invalidation of this, and then we'd be looking for that potential of either 121 towards this $2.22, or this 1618 is sitting here at this $2.97, looking for this as a third, fourth, and a fifth, which could take us up towards this 357 to this 319 level. Now that would actually align with the idea of coming up here in that bigger flat idea, because this would put us right into this target box here, looking for that possibility of that C wave. So this is what I'm saying. If we do start to get these extensions out here, we could actually be looking for that potential of pushing up here in the C wave, or alternatively, if we get 1 2 3 4 5 up into these levels, find a 3 wave move to the downside and maintain this level here, then we could actually look at this potentially as a wave 1 and 2, and then we would be looking for a much bigger push to the upside off the back of it. So it's going to be important here how exactly this develops from this point. I want to see a nice clean 5 wave structure here if we're looking for either the C wave or that potential of a break to the upside in a bigger way. Okay, so now we're going to come in a little bit closer here again and we're going to discuss some of the CPR lines that we were talking about in the previous video. So we have new daily and weekly CPRs here. We can see that on the daily here, we've actually come up and we've hit all of these targets already. So what I want to see here is that if we do start to retrace to the downside, what you can see is price actually look to find support on this 151, this 149, or this area of this 146. Now, if we are looking for that potential that, we're looking to extend up from here, I wouldn't really want to see us lose these central CPR lines here between this 142 to this 140 level. That would be coming back into some of this previous structure. If we are looking at that possibility of extending where this becomes 1-2 and then we're looking to push up, this would be a probable area to find support if we are looking at that. If we do lose these central lines, we need to be aware we could come down and test the R1 here at this 137, the R2 at the 134, the R3 here at this 130, and the R4 towards this 127 level. So just areas that we keep an eye on as potential pivot points. Now we're going to actually come here into the weekly ones now. What we can see is that price actually moved into these and then actually found support and looked to explode to the upsides. We've actually already hit our weekly S2 line here. So what I want to see here is if we do see this maintain, what we could see is price start to fall off for that idea of that additional fourth wave here. If we do look for a fourth, then potentially this 151 zone could actually look to give us support based off of the CPR lines here. If, however, we do look to extend up here, I would be looking to see how we react towards this 177 level, which would align with coming into this yellow target box that we have here between this $1.83 to this $1.77 zone. So this will be quite a key level to keep an eye on if we do actually look to move to the upside here. Now, I'm going to flip this over now onto the monthly. What we can see within the monthly CPRs is that we've actually come back into the bottom of these central lines now. If we do see price push up, I would be looking for the potential to find resistance here at this 168 and this 174, which would align with coming back into some of these previous structures that we have over here, potentially looking to swing fail. The good thing about that is if we do see a push up into these levels, that at least invalidates that idea of that further extension down. But until we actually do, we need to be just aware, these are going to be some big levels for us. There's quite a bit of consolidation in this area, so we need to just be on the lookout for that possibility we could continue to reject from these zones. If, however, we do actually start to see price move up through these levels and we look to flip these into support, we could actually see price be gravitated towards this S1 line here at this $1.83. We have the S2 here at this $2.10, and we have the S3 up here towards this $2.25 level. So going to be keeping an eye on these zones if price continues to push to the upside here. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.